idioms and nuances that shape the order, ethos, and chaos of the African American experience. Words have their own vitality, they shape their own consciousness and create their own context for interpreting social and spiritual reality. The spoken word contains the power to reshape the landscape of society. It is 6 minutes past the hour of 9 a.m., and I want to thank Mr. Kenneth Barnett for bringing us up until the 9 o'clock hour with The Promise. You can hear The Promise every Monday morning from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m., bringing you the best in gospel music. A good way to start out your Monday morning, a great way to start out your week. I have an announcement to make. Everybody needs to listen up. Important announcement about today's holiday. You need to understand that President's Day has been canceled until we get one. Okay? So those of you who, were planning on, celebrating President's Day and all that kind of stuff, understand there's no President's Day until we get a president. All right? 413-736-2781 is the number here. On this holiday, I'm going to be talking about Mike Bloomberg. Mike Bloomberg is purchasing the Democrat Party. He's buying him an election, and he's buying him some black mayors and black elected officials and black activists and folk with influence all over the country to convince black people that, oops, stop and frisk was just a mistake. It wasn't my policy, and I'm sorry. I just made a mistake and devastated black individuals and families for over a decade. And then I finally realized, oh, it was a mistake. Now, let me ask y'all a question. I mean, how many of y'all, make them? All of us make mistakes, right? Of course we do. But how many of us make mistakes, continue that mistake for over a decade, and then after we find out that it is a mistake, we defend the mistake after we've made it continually, and then all of a sudden, when we decide that we want to run for an office, like say maybe President of the United States of America, we decide that we're sorry for the mistake. So I'm sorry, y'all, black folks whose lives I ruined and messed up and stuff. Now I need for y'all to get over it, and I need for y'all to come on and vote for me. Okay, whatever you say, Mikey Mike. Listen, we can't be that gullible, can we? Are we that gullible? We can't be that gullible. So anyway, I'm going to be talking about Mike Bloomberg today. Mike Bloomberg for America. I've got a guest coming up at half past the hour, Mr. Benjamin P. Dixon, who is the person who really broke open some of this stuff on Mike Bloomberg when he was able to release a video of Mike talking about stop and frisk and really putting out there in living color what his real opinion of black males were. We're all criminals. You can just Xerox the description and send it to every police department in the nation, and then just, arrest them all, throw them up against the wall and frisk them and, all that kind of stuff. So I'll be talking to Ben at half past the hour. You don't want to touch that dial. You want to stay close. Keep it locked right here. Streaming live. Tell a friend. Tell somebody. We're on YouTube right now. We're on Facebook Live. We're on Twitter/Periscope. We're on all of that stuff. So let somebody know that the bishop is on the air on this non-holiday because we don't have a president. So let me turn this down. We don't have a president, so there is no President's Day, like I said, until we get a president. So tell everybody that I'm on the air. Rep your city, rep your town. Those on Periscope, those on Facebook, those on YouTube. Let the people know where you're chiming in from. I'd love to know exactly where my listeners are coming in from. So don't you touch that dial. Keep it locked right there. We're going to be talking about Mike Bloomberg today. All right, y'all? Yeah, we talking about Big Mike and all of y'all Negroes that he's buying, that he's purchasing with his billions of dollars. Keep it locked. 413-736-2781.
Respected in the community ever since I was little. I felt like there was some pressure on me. It started off with little stuff like when my folk brought us to church and then they forced us to get up and say a testimony. Getting older, had to watch how I acted in public, cause people wouldn't hesitate to put that in discussion. Chatting like, isn't that the pastor's kid? I'm like, yeah, that's me, but please don't expect me to be exactly like my daddy. Don't discredit my family for how I am. I'm not a little kid no more, I'm now a man. And I ain't pointing fingers, I'm not trying to do no blaming at all. When it comes
The speaker, there's nothing coming through it. Nah. I think you turned it down with, huh? I got it. Yeah.
I learn more about why I am who I am on the daily. I know it may
all right, y'all. Tap that screen. Periscopers over here. Send them hearts up. I'm trying to increase my heart level. Come on, thank you. Show some love to a brother. Show some love. I need some love. Do me a favor, y'all, over here on the YouTube side. Hit that thumbs up. And not only hit that thumbs up, share it. Not only share it, subscribe. All right? Do all of that. Facebook, y'all already know. I need to see them likes and loves flying up and down here. I need y'all to share. I need y'all to let folk know we on the air. We about to get into this conversation. All right? Let them know. Bishop's on the earth.
Like, oh my God, yeah. He going hard, yeah. Flowing hard, every track showing off. I hear most of y'all sounded so bizarre. So now I'm texting everyone who wrote me off, yeah. All of my homie stars. We gotta make everybody know we are. Hope to God this become my only job. Oh my God, lately I've been going hard. Oh my God, if you know that you don't have the heart, don't get involved. I'm aware of all these rappers are least spitting bars, hardly working, but you wanna tell us you been a boss. I'm gonna be the one to end the cycle.
Hey man, I'm on the radio. I'm on my radio show. I'm gonna hit you out.
Menopause. If there's rules to this game, I might have to bend the law. Killing all rappers who be faking who they really are. I'm coming after autumn till I fall. I got the folk like, oh my God, yeah. He going hard, yeah. Flowing all, every track showing off, yeah. I hear most of y'all sounding so bizarre, so now I'm texting everyone who wrote me off, yeah. All of my homie stars. We gotta make everybody know we are, yeah. Oh for God, this become my only job. Oh my God, lately I've been going hard. Oh my God.
There we go.
This like it's life or death.
Let's get them hearts up there, Periscope. Come on now.
This is just a sample for people who haven't tried me yet.
Show brothers some love.
For the industry, minus bad side effects. Was down before, now I'm up next. I don't even own a watch. I damn sure don't have time to flex. I'm barely out my mama's nest. I carry so much on my chest. Got Donald up in office.
Bless you. How you doing?
Obama left. I'm dealing with all kind of stress. I vowed to change the game. I need to make sure that's a promise kept. I'm working till I'm out of time.
Tony?
It ain't just about a check. Got pressure breathing down my neck. Your favorite rapper sound
over here on the Periscopers.
Out the set, and I don't see a lot of threats. 413, I got a rep. I know a lot of cats who rap, but most of the time I'm not impressed. And I don't mean to sound like all the salty, all this talking about the market ain't the same. So I can explain why I'm not popping yet. To my story, you cannot attest. This is not a test. You don't got the answers.
All right, y'all. I need y'all to share.
Project in the works, I swear to God.
Let folk know we on the air. Couple public service announcements, and we into our conversation.
Going hard, yeah. Flowing all, every track showing off, yeah. I hear most of y'all sounding so bizarre, so now I'm texting everyone who wrote me off, yeah. All of my homie stars. We gotta make everybody know we are. Hope for God, this become my only job. Yeah. Oh my God, lady, I've been going hard. Oh my God, only positive vibes when I'm with the squad. Y'all can stick to the beef like a shish kebab. Yeah, I'm the truth, you can never say I lied. If you heard that I quit, it's the day I died. Got the folk like, oh my God, yeah. We going hard, yeah. Flowing all, every track showing off, yeah. Lord, I repent, I know I said your name in vain. I just had to let these people know I'm finna change the game, whoa. Yeah. Hey.
Now, your first warning weather forecast from
I don't like this weather forecast.
Well, a nice day to round out the long weekend. On this President's Day, we'll see sunshine mixed with just a few clouds. A little chilly, but we'll end up near 40 degrees this afternoon with a light to moderate breeze. For tonight, clouds will be on the increase, overnight lows in the 20s. For tomorrow, cloudy skies in the morning. By mid-morning, we'll have some snow developing or a wintry mix. It'll change over to rain in the afternoon. High temperatures in the middle 30s. A coating to maybe an inch in greater Springfield that melts away in the afternoon. 1 to 2 inches Franklin County. There it changes to rain as well. The rest of the week looks dry. Wednesday, sunshine, upper 30s, a bit of a breeze. And for Thursday, the coldest day of the week, sunshine with highs in the upper 20s. With your Western Mass News First Warning Forecast, I'm meteorologist Dan Brown.
This program has been underwritten by Metrocom Tax Services. Hi, I'm Tom Morrow, president of Metrocom Tax Services, specializing in individual sole proprietorships, corporations, partnerships, estate tax planning,
the weather.
And bookkeeping. E-files for faster returns.
I ain't feeling that weather.
Tax Service, where early filers get early returns. Located at 11 Preston Street, Springfield. 413-737-8446, 737-8446. WTCC would like to thank Metrocom Tax Services for underwriting with us.
This program has been underwritten by the Helping Hands of St. John's Congregational Church. Hello, this is Jamina Scipio McFadden, and I'd like to invite you to the 10th Annual First Ladies Luncheon on Saturday, March 21st, 12 noon at Chez Joseph. After 10 years, this is our final luncheon here in Western Massachusetts. This year's guest performer is award-winning gospel artist Tremaine Hawkins.
Where I'm going.
Tremaine Hawkins. It's Tremaine Hawkins. The color is silver. Join us for food, fun, fellowship, and an opportunity to donate to local community agencies. This year's luncheon is sponsored by Helping Hands, the nonprofit of St. John's Congregational Church. 413-734-2283. We look forward to seeing you there for the final First Ladies Luncheon.
WTCC would like to thank Helping Hands of St. John's Congregational Church for underwriting with us.
This program has been underwritten by the Spring of Hope Church of God in Christ. The Spring of Hope Church of God in Christ presents the 10th annual Lift Every Voice lecture series, learning from the past, looking towards the future, featuring February 18th. Its host, Keyshawn Dodds. Spoken word by Nofa Lokuja. Music by T. Swan. Keynote speaker, political commentator, and media personality, Dr. Ava Jones DeWeaver. Dance by Youthful Expressions. Program starts at 6:30 p.m. at the Spring of Hope Church, 35 Alden Street, Springfield, Mass. Bishop Talbert Swan II is pastor. WTCC would like to thank Spring of Hope Church of God in Christ for underwriting with us.
Let's get it. Let me set this up for y'all, okay? So this week, there's been a flurry of coverage on Mike Bloomberg's history, on his record. He was the mayor of New York City. We all know that. He has never really been reticent about his personal political opinions. He loves speaking to the news media at various forums, etc. So, at some point in time, we were going to unearth some stuff that he said. He was a one-time Republican. He's a late entry into the campaign for Democratic nomination for president. He's enthusiastic about racist police tactics, having tolerance for sexual misconduct, and a real authoritarian outlook on life, in terms of white males, really. In short, Bloomberg is a racist, a sexist. And when you talk about Trump's 22 different women coming forth with allegations of sexual misconduct, that's light compared to Bloomberg, whether y'all realize it or not. Bloomberg has almost 40 harassment and discrimination lawsuits against him. He's cast doubt on the Me Too movement. He's said some seriously racist things about the banking industry, that it's really the fault of black borrowers and not the banking industry in terms of the crash. And, he said the end of redlining basically was to blame for the housing crisis. That, if we hadn't stopped redlining these Negroes, and if we hadn't started giving these Negroes loans, we never would have had a housing crisis. This is the kind of stuff that comes out of the mouth of Mike Bloomberg. It was under his mayoral administration that law enforcement in New York used the city's mosque and public spaces as a laboratory for surveillance and predictive policing technology in counterterrorism. He defended that practice. He keeps talking about, and I know that, the big conversation for all of us is this conversation about stop and frisk. Now, here's the problem, y'all. He says, it wasn't my policy. Basically, he comes out to so-called apologize for stop and frisk, and he starts out by basically saying, y'all know it wasn't my policy. Now, let me just set this up before I bring our guest on. If you come into office and there's a racist policy or practice taking place, and you adopt it for your administration because you have the choice of continuing it or discontinuing it. Like when de Blasio got in office, he discontinued fighting a settlement with the Central Park Five, which is what Bloomberg did. He was fighting. He spent $6 million so he can keep from giving money to the Central Park Five. De Blasio discontinued it. When Bloomberg got in office, he did not discontinue stop and frisk. He tweaked it. Not only tweaked it, enhanced it, and stepped it up. It became his policy. So the first notion that it wasn't my policy, like he's some innocent dude who just inherited something. No, he continued the policy and the practice for a decade. Not only did he continue it for a decade, when a judge ruled it to be unconstitutional, he appealed the judge's decision and defended it and spent millions in taxpayer dollars to defend it in court. Not only did he defend it in court, after he left the mayor's office, he continued to defend it. Not only did he continue to defend it after he got out of the mayor's office, he decided to apologize for it a week before declaring he was running for president. Now, y'all tell me if that's a sincere policy. Oh, Negroes don't like stop and frisk. They don't like the fact that, I highlighted and, I profiled and hunted black males. So I better apologize to them because I'm going to need Negro votes if I am to become the Democrat nominee. And now you got all of these backwards Negroes out here talking about he changed. He changed. How you going to be a racist for 78 years? And a week before you decide to run for president, all of a sudden announce, I'm sorry, y'all. And y'all gullible enough to talk about this dude has changed. Oh, my goodness. 413-736-2781. All right, when I come back, I'm coming back with our guest, Mr. Ben Dixon, who kind of broke this thing wide open. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Yeah, family first. Some friends don't last. Hey, do they understand your worth? Do they give you a hand when it's worth? Greatness is in my roots. I can't wait to plant my seeds, expand my family tree. I'm here for y'all, I cannot leave. Without y'all, I cannot breathe. Still trying to be the man y'all need. Watch me grow, just like blood can't stop my flow. You know my name, but he not my bro. As far as I know, I don't got no foes. Let me say this in advance. I'm gonna eat, but I only plan to be at the table with my fam, and that's my word.
Hey, son.
How could I even have the nerve, to forget to put my family first? Try to step to me, you make it hurt. You gotta get through my family first. Yeah, that's my word. How could I even have the nerve to forget to put my family first? That's my word. I made this one for all my sisters and all my brothers, all my aunties and my uncles, my father, my mother. All my nieces got no nephews but got plenty cousins. This one is for everyone I consider a loved one. That's my word. Anyone touch my name get served. Ain't too much, I'ma say with words. I don't care what you may have heard. Still spread love each day on earth. Still never had no baby. Still trying to be the greatest. To call you my bro, we don't even gotta be related. Just stay loyal. If you pray for me, I pray for you. Some folk will wait until you got you breaking. That'll be the day that they call you. But I've been dope. I go hard with my pen, so I go hard for my kinfolk. Hey.
90.7 WTCCs. Y'all need to pick that up. That's my son T. Swan. You can get his music anywhere where music is streamed. Spotify, Apple Music, iTunes, Google Play, all those places. He's got a new EP out called Soul Food, and you definitely want to check that out. Check out all of his music, all right? Yeah, that's right. I'm putting a plug in. I'm his father. That's what I'm supposed to do, okay? Now, listen, I want to introduce our guest today, Mr. Ben Dixon, who is now with us on the program. Good morning, Ben.
Bishop Swan, thanks so much for having me.
Good to have you on today. So, Ben, first tell the audience a little bit about yourself, and then I want to segue into the the earth-shattering video that you put out last week that has a billionaire on his heels.
That's wild, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Listen, I am a student of religion, and actually, let me say, I grew up in the church. I grew up in the Missionary Baptist Church, and somewhere along the line, I started studying politics in school, and I just saw this intersection that bothered me of how Republicans manipulate Christianity for political and economic ends, and so that's been driving me for at least the last 10 years. But in that process, I started, doing a broadcast, the Benjamin Dixon Show. So it's a daily podcast that I put out. And it's just been a way, some kind of like catharsis, Bishop, when you're in the pulpit, sometimes that message is just as much for you as it is anybody else. And so that's kind of what my show has been. And we, last week, were able to stumble onto some audio. We unearthed some audio of billionaire Michael Bloomberg, essentially saying
a real billionaire, not the Donald Trump kind of billionaire.
Right. No, we're talking about billions of, $60 billion, which puts him I believe he's the 10th richest person
in the world.
And he wants to now run for the president of the United States. Like, we can talk about that in a second, how problematic that is. But we got him dead to rights. He made all these excuses about stop and frisk, and at the end of the day, his real worldview, his deeply held beliefs about black people and brown people, but probably more black people than not, is that we're criminals, 95% of us. So throw all the police inside of minority communities. And if some kid gets wrapped up because of marijuana possession, well, that only happened because we had to put all the cops there. And we only put all the cops there because that's where all the crime is.
And that's the crux of his worldview. And it's amazing because, this dude really said, see, you when you're in certain circles, you can quote statistics about black folks that are totally erroneous, but you know that you have an audience that will buy into it and believe it. And this dude really said 95% of the murders, 95% of all this stuff that's happening out here is being done by black males 16 to 25. That stat is completely erroneous.
Right, but he has the luxury of being the billionaire, so everybody believes him because he's a billionaire. He's a mayor, former mayor. Everybody believes him because he's a former mayor. And he has enough people working for him, like it's an appeal to authority, right? We're supposed to believe him. Well, people, they do. They believe this. And it justified not only his worldview, but, it led to 5 million instances of stopping and frisking, of which only 2% turned up any type of weapons. So you think about how many other people were accosted, assaulted. Some of those, without a doubt, led to somebody getting shot by the police, right? There's almost no way that one of those instances of stop and frisk did not lead to the death of someone who otherwise would still be alive. And all of this because of his bigoted worldview.
Wow. Absolutely. Now, we'll take a call, and then I want to come back to how you found this video and what was the response once that video got out. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Yes, good morning, Bishop. This is when chickens come home to roost. I'd like to pose a question to you and your guest. Isn't Mike Bloomberg a practicing Jew? Doesn't he go? Isn't he a part of a synagogue? Doesn't he believe in Judaism? That's my question. You can
Yeah,
stand
I
on
mean,
that.
if you don't mind, I'll answer that, Bishop.
All right, go ahead, Ben.
I think it has absolutely. I mean, if you his faith, whatever he practices or whatever he doesn't, I don't know what he believes. Right. All I can tell you is how he behaves here on this earth. Right. I don't know what his appeal, who his God is, or what. I think it's irrelevant. But on earth, God, money is his God, and money is why he's in this election. He's in this election to save taxes. Right. It has nothing. If you go to, I don't care who you support. I'm just using Elizabeth Warren because she has a convenient site that you can do the math. You go to her wealth tax calculator, you can see that Michael Bloomberg, if she is elected or if Bernie Sanders is elected, he will have to pay $3.56 billion in taxes next year. Not total, but next year. So you mean to tell me that a man who's willing to spend $1 billion is not making a good investment, because if he wins, or if he wins, or if he loses to Trump, he saves $2.56 billion. That's what this is about. I don't know who he worships, and I don't really care who he worships. I know on earth he's worshiping money.
Right, and not only that, when you really talk about the monetary value of both him running for president and if he becomes president, when you look at him when he entered the mayor's office in New York, he was worth somewhere around $10 billion. Now he came out of the mayor's office worth somewhere around $40 billion. Think about that. How your wealth quadrupled while he was the mayor of New York. How does that happen?
Right, right. Because you have some Bishop. You ever recognize like somebody across the other side of the country is preaching the same sermon you preaching on the same day? That's literally what my show was about this morning. Is the fact that you have some people like Donald Trump who goes in and he's happy getting golf course money, right? You come fly to our golf course, we might fleece America for about $150 million for you to come to my golf course. Oh, but not Michael Bloomberg. Michael Bloomberg is going to turn the presidency into something that's going to make him a trillionaire.
Oh, you're absolutely right. I mean, if this guy gained $30 billion in wealth just by being mayor of New York, can you imagine the dollar sign on what would happen if he became president of the United States?
Yeah, yeah. See, Donald Trump is small change. He's a small time crook, right? Don't get me wrong. He's doing some big time problems, but the kind of money that Michael Bloomberg has the mindset to create through political power is going to be something that we've never seen before, as evidence, like Bishop so appropriately outlined, as evidenced by what he did to his personal wealth as mayor of New York.
Now,
Money of God.
now, let's talk about the willingness of black folks, and particularly the power to the people, black folks. The black folks that are supposed to be standing against white supremacy, racism, anti-black bigotry, and standing for the people, who are willing to turn a blind eye to not just stop and frisk, so many other policies that and statements that Bloomberg has made, some of which I went over before I brought you on the air, basically saying, if we hadn't stopped redlining Negroes, the banks never would have crashed, and a number of other things. How they are willing to turn a blind eye and spread this narrative that, he's changed. He said, I'm sorry. How are you a bigot for 78 years and you practice anti-black bigotry for nearly 8 decades, and then 3 months ago, when you decide you're going to run for president, I'm sorry, y'all, and if I become president, I'm going to make up for it. And black folks are gullible enough to say, you know what, he ain't all that bad. Massa been good to us. Let's give him a chance.
So here's the real thing behind that, is that he has manufactured consent. He has taken $350 million already and poured it into Facebook advertisements, into video game. When I say video game, I mean like Words with Friends. People are playing their morning round of games on their phone, and then they get an ad from Michael Bloomberg. He's bought up all the radio advertisements. He's bought up television advertisements. And so he has been able to speak to people, particularly black people in the South, without anyone else nobody else is spending money there, And so he's gone unchallenged. And what he's done, Bishop, is that he's been able to create this image in the mind of the people that now those people feel like they have a vested interest in protecting. Case in point, I post stuff on Facebook. It's totally different than Twitter. Facebook is a bunch of people who like Mike Bloomberg. And the reason they like Mike Bloomberg is because they've seen nothing but all of his advertisements. And they really firmly believe that he has enough money to beat Donald Trump. Well, that's the problem. He has enough money to buy our whole democracy with his pocket change.
Well, and then the other thing is this, is black folk and so-called white liberal allies, why are you willing to trade in one bigot for a smarter, richer bigot simply because he has a D behind his name instead of an R behind his name? That's what I don't understand. We'll take a phone call and we'll come back and get your answer to that. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Yeah, good morning. New York City, the last few mayors with Dayer Dinkins and then Giuliani and then Bloomberg. Murders were at a record high under Dinkins.
Are you about to defend stop and frisk?
Well, did the crime numbers go down?
Are you about to defend stop and frisk? So I just know whether to cut you off the line, right now or to let you talk. Are you about to defend a practice that hunted and targeted black males simply because they were black? Are you about to do that?
That's where the crime was.
Where's where the crime was?
The crime was in black neighborhoods. Victims were black.
So you're basically defending stop and frisk. So you're all down with hunting black people.
Was it a successful?
Are you down with hunting black people?
I'm down for bringing crime rates down.
Okay, so you're down for bringing crime rates down, but the hell with the innocent blacks who got caught up. That casualties of war. So innocent folk who never committed a crime, weren't committing crimes, but being thrown up against the wall, frisked, and in some cases beaten, and in other cases actually killed. The hell with them. As long as the crime. No. You gonna let me talk. All right. How many lies they gonna say? The hell with the folk who lost their lives, lost their livelihood, got jail records because of a racist policy, cause numbers went down. Is that what you trying to tell me?
Well, what about the people that are dead? What about those people?
That's exactly what I'm talking about. What about the innocent people that died because of stop and frisk?
What about the blind?
Now answer the question, man. You don't throw me out a question. Answer my question. What about the innocent? What about the? Get off my line, boy. Get off my line. Get off my line. Exactly what I thought. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Hey, this is Reverend Johnson. How you doing, Bishop?
I'm good. How are you?
Super fantastic and grateful. I think we have a huge challenge. Here's what it is. Amy Klobuchar in Minnesota, she absolutely imprisoned African-American men who were innocent. Hadn't resolved that. I don't know who can beat Donald Trump, but I do know this. Everyone is flawed. I agree with you that Bloomberg and stop and frisk was devastating to the African American community and continue to do so.
See, but here's my thing, Reverend.
Well,
Here's my thing, Reverend. Here's my thing. I get the narrative that everyone is flawed, and that's the narrative that often comes up around Bloomberg. My question is this. See, flawed to me is, I made a mistake or so. Flawed might be, Bernie speaking against the crime bill, but then voting for the crime bill. Flawed is not a lifetime of bigoted practices and rhetoric. Flawed is not defending racist practices. So there's a difference between a flawed candidate that we have to hold our nose and potentially vote for and a Mike Bloomberg.
Yeah. Bishop, let me add one thing there.
Bernie says black folks don't deserve reparations. At the same time, my Jewish friends continue to get reparations.
Oh, you get no argument with me about that. And I have maligned Bernie's campaign for his anti-reparation stance. Let's let Ben get in on this conversation.
I just find the most disturbing thing in this entire conversation is how many people are willing to extend grace and mercy to Michael Bloomberg when he had none on the black community. They ravaged our communities for 12, 13, 14 years. There's an entire generation of boys who grew up with nothing but the expectation that they were going to be accosted by the police. Where was the grace and mercy for those brothers? Where was the grace and mercy for the people who got locked up for no reason? Out of 5 million stops, 2%, only 2% had weapons.
Now, see, that's the point I was trying to get to with our caller that was like, how many lives were saved? Did the numbers go down? Now, if you stop, first of all, they stopped more black men than exist in New York. Okay, how do you stop more black men than exist in New York? That means everybody who was coming there on vacation, everybody who was a tourist, everybody who was coming there for any reason was being stopped through the stop and frisk policy. And if you stop 5 million and less than 2% actually have weapons or anything, how are you going to say it was worth it?
They're willing to expand our constitutional rights, particularly as poor black people. Because Bishop, here's a distinction that we're seeing. We're seeing a distinction. I don't know if he's talking or I am.
That's the question. How do we do that?
All right, he wants to know who's going to beat Donald Trump. I don't know who's going to beat Donald Trump. We don't know. And see, here's the thing. This is a primary. This whole notion that you don't criticize a Democrat candidate because we got to get somebody to beat Donald Trump is asinine. It's a primary. This is the vetting process. This is the process by which we vet Democrat candidates and decide who we want. We have the right to say no to this guy, no to that woman, hell no to Bloomberg. That's what we do in a primary.
Yeah. Point blank clear. There's nothing to add to that.
You know, so let's get back to why willingness to extend so much grace to Bloomberg. What is this that black folk have that we are so willing to be so forgiving to people who have devastated? And here's my thing: I believe in restoration, but I believe in restorative justice. And from a biblical perspective, restoration always came with restitution. You don't have restoration without restitution. So you can't ravage black communities for over 10 years as mayor. You can't stop 5 million black men and only 2% of them came up with any weapons. You can't have police hunt us down, brutalize us, beat us, and even murder us, and then end it all with I'm sorry, I was wrong. And see, here's the thing. Somebody said, well, he proposes a project, that's going to fight systemic racism. My take is this. The best indicator of what a man will do is what a man has done. And he's been out of office for 7 years. What has he done to fight systemic racism? If he's so sorry, he's the 10th richest person in the world. He does not have to be president to do something substantive toward fighting systemic racism, and yet he hasn't. He's telling you, Negroes, if you give me your vote and I become president, then I'll fight systemic racism. But until then, I ain't spending my money on y'all. What is wrong with our people?
The other side of the coin is, Bishop, is the fact that he does have all that money and he's spending lavishly, right? He's literally going out and buying up the folks. That's what he's doing. And I hate to use that connotation, but really, I mean, all of us are being bought and sold in terms of our...
Listen, it's like we're chattel back on the auction block, and Bloomberg is Master Bloomberg sitting in the chair, lining up the slaves on the auction block, seeing who he can purchase.
But watch me flip the paradigm on you, though. So they're the ones now, the people who he is picking up on his team, he's paying them right. He's pouring money. He's not. There's some financial restitution going on through how he's paying these folks. That's why he's got so many black folks on his team, because he's got black people on his campaign staff. He's hiring the best talent that he could find in the black community and paying them twice as much as everybody else. and they're out there working for their boss, right? They're doing their jobs. And so, the real question is, why is all this talent available? Why, what's going on? What's going on that all of these talented people were available and not already working for, let's say, Elizabeth Warren or Bernie Sanders, right? And so he's getting inroads into the black community because he's hiring a whole ton of black operatives and consultants, and he's paying them really good money. And that to me is the problem. The problem is that he has enough personal wealth that he could take his pocket change and purchase our democracy. And part of that strategy is hiring some of the best talent he can find.
Wow. And not only is he hiring talent for his campaign, he's hiring surrogates, elected officials, and people with influence in the black community to be his mouthpieces. And so every time you turn around, there's a new black mayor or elected official popping up saying, hey, give Bloomberg a chance.
Now, let me mess with you, Bishop. Let me ask you now, who the real dummies in the equation now? You and me, we're out here fighting the good fight because this is what we believe, but I ain't making no money on this. Man, if I don't get supporters to come and become patrons, then I'm in trouble, right? But the Bloomberg operatives that we just use the imagery of slavery over, they're the ones, they getting $10,000 a month to work on his team. Surrogates are going to get $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 a month. So maybe it's us foolish who are out here fighting for the right reason, but we ain't making no money. We got to make sure we got our rent together next week, but we're fighting it because we really believe in it.
Right. Well, maybe we're stupid for having a moral compass. I don't know. Good morning, caller.
Yes, good morning. I just want to weigh in on the subject that you're on right now. The individual that you were kind of having a little bit of a beef with, these people are not going to change. And, I watched a couple of little segments of Roots. And the same thing right now, you can have you and I tied to a tree, and the master's out there lashing you and I on the tree. Then he gets the latch away and give it to one of the slaves there. And some of them might not want to do it, but they'll go right along with it and lash you and I out just like nothing's ever happened. So these people now, that belief is, okay, if I be nice to the master's going to take care of me, but the master like Bloomberg and these guys ain't going to take care of no one but themselves. So right now, we just need to wake up and realize that when it comes down to doing stuff, we need to ask our little white counterparts, what are they going to gain by getting a bigot into the White House and office? Just like Trump, these guys are going to get their face in the dirt way before you and I. And they thinking they're going to go get it up and up because you don't have a job, just like a lot of black people don't have jobs. So where are you going to gain at? Thank you very much for your time, sir.
All right. Thank you for your call. 413-736-2781. On the line with Mr. Benjamin P. Dixon. And we're talking Mike Bloomberg, purchasing democracy and purchasing black America at that. He's been everybody from Stacey Abrams, who is the golden girl of Democratic black politics in Georgia. Her organization, Fair Fight, he gave them $5 million. Everyone from Stacey Abrams to Bobby Rush, a former Black Panther, in his hip pocket. And so you got the radical black folk looking at a Bobby Rush, former Black Panther, saying Bloomberg's the man, and a regular old dyed-in-the-wool establishment Democrat like Stacey Abrams saying the exact same thing.
So you have a situation. It is the income inequality is at the core of this, because Stacey Abrams' fight for Fair Fight Down Here initiative, it's a good initiative. And chances are they need that money to do what they need to do to fight back against Republican purging of voters, right? All that given, the fact is, now that he had all the money, her firm needed the money. Do you think she's going to be in a position to offer any criticisms of this man in this moment where we're taking a look at his long history of racism? Will Stacey Abrams be free to speak out? No. And that's because he has all of the wealth that these employees, these people working for him, these surrogates that you're talking about, you know what I mean? They are hungry. They trying to get their money. I'm not giving them an excuse. I'm just saying, if you ask them, that's going to be their rationale. I've talked to some of them. And the problem is that one man in this country has enough wealth that he doesn't even, I mean, what it takes for you to go to the store and pick up a Snicker bar is what he's spending to buy up all of our democracy, all of our black voices. He's just buying them up. He's doing the ultimate strategy of, I threw you up against the wall. I threw you up against the wall, and now here's 10 grand. Be quiet.
Yeah, and we're doing the dance around. We're doing the hopscotch and buck dancing and foot shuffling around it. And even, I saw where the executive director of Fair Fight called Bloomberg a terrorist. And I'm saying, okay, so what political game are you guys playing? Your ED calls him a terrorist because of stop and frisk, but yet and still, you got $5 million of his money, and the real face of Fair Fight is Stacey Abrams, and she's not saying anything. So it's almost like they're walking this tightrope where we got to say or do something, but we got to do it in a way where we're really not doing it. And I see this jig that Negroes are playing, where we're trying to condemn his bigotry, but at the same time, we want to stay on his good side. So it's like they don't even know how to handle this.
Yeah, yeah. I didn't know that they made that tweet. It's probably a tweet or on their page or something. And but you nailed that, right? That's not Stacey Abrams. I don't even know who that person is. I don't even know.
That's my point. Is that folk don't know who the ED is. They know the face of that organization, and the power behind it is Stacey Abrams. So it really doesn't matter what the ED had to say about that. So what happens at this point? Because see, Democrats are disappointing in the fact that first and foremost, you kept Cory Booker out, you kept other folks out off the debate stage in some of the Democrat debates because they didn't meet the standard, and then you changed the rules. I mean, this guy comes in and waves around some chump change and changes the rules where he does not have to meet the same standard that others had to meet to get on the debate stage. What is that about?
That's about the full wholesale purchase of our democracy. Our democratic processes have been purchased by Michael Bloomberg. And you said, what's next? Well, what's next is we have to let the Democratic Party know right now. I mean, I don't know about you, Bishop. I can't speak for you or your audience, but for me in my house, there's no situation where we are going to support a former Republican, racist, sexist, person who has done the most damage to the black community of New York. We are not going to give you our vote if Michael Bloomberg not only buys his way into this democracy, but wages class warfare on us as he does it. You cannot get our vote. We will sit back and watch the Democratic Party burn to ashes, and we'll just figure out what we do next, because you're not going to ask us to exchange one racist Republican for another.
Listen, that's the same point. I had this conversation just yesterday. And, folks said, well, if first of all, I'm not going to not vote. I will vote. But I will not vote for Mike Bloomberg if he is the nominee. And so they say, well, Bishop, if you don't vote for the nominee, if you vote third party, if you do a write-in, that's a vote for Trump. Here's the thing that America needs to understand. It's white liberals that are shaken up and scared of Trump. White liberals are losing their minds. You got to get rid of Trump. You got to get rid of Trump. Got to get rid of Trump. It's like they just realized that racism existed 3 years ago when he got elected president. Newsflash, y'all. It's existed the whole time. And I told one white liberal that your apathy when Trump wasn't president, I said black folks were getting murdered by police. All of the systemic racism that you have taken notice of right now existed pre-Trump. And your apathy towards it because you were comfortable with a Democrat in office, especially a black Democrat in office, created Trump. You created this situation by your apathy. And it's you who's scared to death of 4 more years of Trump. Black folk done been through Trump before. We done been through worse than Trump. We can survive another Trump administration. And my position is real simple. I will not vote for a Mike Bloomberg. If Democrats are stupid enough to make him their nominee, don't ask me to trade in one racist white supremacist for another one. I won't do it.
Nope. And that's full stop, right? That's the conclusion. And the Democratic Party needs to know that right now, because why would we wait? Someone is like, let's get through the primary. No, This is the exact moment that we do this. We are sending signals to the Democratic Party on the national level that not only are we going to abstain from voting for the president, we're going to organize around that. Right. Last time we had a pretty decent movement of people. I wasn't a part of it, but there are people who try to withhold their vote out of protest against Hillary Clinton. I wasn't a part of that because I didn't think that was the time. But let me tell you something. Michael Bloomberg coming down off of his throne of opulence, coming down here, spending his pocket change to purchase our democracy. You damn well better believe that this is the moment where we are going to withhold our vote and show you where the power really is. So play with us if you want to, Democrats. We're going to show you where the real power is.
Absolutely. Listen, Ben, I'm glad you called in today. Thank you for the work that you're doing. Tell folks how they can support the work that you're doing.
Yeah, if they want to support the work I'm doing, they can go to thebenjamindixonshow.com, follow the podcast anywhere you get podcasts, or just follow me on Twitter at Benjamin P. Dixon.
All right. Appreciate you calling in today. We'll talk to you soon.
Take care. Bye-bye.
413-736-2781. That was Benjamin P. Dixon. And we were talking about Mike Bloomberg purchasing our democracy. It's real, folks. It's real out here. We got to figure out what we're going to do, how we're going to handle this election. I can't do it. I'm sorry, y'all. I just can't. If Democrats are going to make Mike Bloomberg their nominee, I cannot vote Democrat. Can't do it. I can't. I'm not going to trade in a dumb bigot for a smarter, richer, more dangerous bigot. And I don't care how he's more polished than Trump. He doesn't say the things Trump does. His record says he will do what Trump does. He just won't be as abrasive about it. He won't be tweeting crazy stuff every day. He won't be saying blatantly racist things out of his mouth in such an overt way. No, he won't do that, but he will be more dangerous than Donald Trump. Trust me when I tell you that. So y'all can put your stock in Mike Bloomberg all you want. As for me and my house, we ain't going down that road. Not going to do it. Listen, I want to invite you all out. Tomorrow night is the last night of the Lift Every Voice lecture series. It's been dynamic the first 2 weeks with Karen Hunter and with the Reverend Cornell William Brooks. Tomorrow we have Avis Jones DeWeaver. She's the former executive director of the National Council of Negro Women. She is a best-selling author, a political commentator she was on TV One, BET, CNN, MSNBC, all of that stuff. She's going to be my guest on tomorrow as we close out the Lift Every Voice lecture series. It starts at 6:30 p.m. at the Spring of Hope Church of God in Christ, 35 Alden Street, the brick church right there on Six Corners. I'll play this card one more time, and then we'll come back and wrap this thing up. Stay with us.
By the Spring of Hope Church of God in Christ. The Spring of Hope Church of God in Christ presents the 10th annual Lift Every Voice lecture series. Learning from the past, looking towards the future. Featuring February 18th is host Keyshawn Dodds. Spoken word by Nofa Lakusha. Music by T. Swan. Keynote speaker, political commentator, and media personality, Dr. Ava Jones DeWeaver. Dance by Youthful Expressions. Program starts at 6:30 p.m. at the Spring of Hope Church, 35 Alden Street, Springfield, Mass. Bishop Talbert Swan II is pastor. WTCC would like to thank Spring of Hope Church of God in Christ for underwriting with us.
All right, I want to thank my special guest this morning, Mr. Ben Dixon. You can catch him at Benjamin P. Dixon on Twitter, the Ben Dixon Show.com. Check that out. Also, check out our podcast. We do a sermon podcast and our radio podcast. So wherever they're streamed, you can go to Spotify, you can go to Apple Podcasts. Just look up Bishop Talbert Swan, and you'll catch my sermon podcast and my radio podcast. Also, go to our YouTube page and subscribe. YouTube / Talbert Swan. Subscribe to our YouTube page. Follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at Talbert Swan, so you can stay connected to everything that we're doing out there. Also, the NAACP meets every fourth Tuesday at the Spring of Hope Church. If you're interested in getting involved or becoming a member, definitely check us out. You can go to our website, naacpspringfield.org. And if you want to check out our sermons and live stream for our church, you can check that out at 413hope.org. So all kinds of ways for you to connect. Listen, James Lewis is in the studio. He's getting ready for you right now. He's coming on next with mid-morning jazz and great black music. So you don't want to touch that dial anywhere. You want to keep it locked right where it is, because we got some more good music coming to you right here on WTCC. All right, listen, I got to move out your way. It's been my pleasure being with you, as it is every Monday morning. Remember, you can catch us every Monday morning, 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. We're doing it live right here. Until the next time I talk to you and you talk to me, always remember, God loves you, and so do I. What's going on, good brother?
It's your world, sir.
All right, I'm out, Facebookers. All right, YouTubers, holla.